on the move. We're getting a brand new stadium. This morning, Cherry's owner Bill Foley was on Talksport and BBC Sounds chatting to Chris Temple, underlining the new plans for Dean Court. And I tell you what, it's not a refurbishment, it's a brand new stadium. Look, Premier League clubs have derided us for a long time, but in this video, we are going to give a synopsis over what he said. How big is it going to be? Where is it going to be? And when is it going to happen? Welcome to Back of the Net. We're an AFC Bournemouth fan channel. My name's Sam Davis.
My name's Tom Jordan.
And it's fair to say, Tom, that we are ridiculed in Premier League circles. My garden shed is bigger than this. We've heard many a fan base sing that. But maybe in a few years' time, they won't be doing that any longer.
Yeah, maybe so, mate. It's nice to see us on the move, on that trajectory. I think, you know, we're seeing it slowly on the pitch. We're seeing different bits and bobs coming. But yeah, I think that's the one that everyone's kind of waiting for and been waiting for. So yeah, obviously we're going to when exactly that'll be. But just nice to see things are happening. And as Bill Foley said on a couple of his chats that you mentioned, you know, when he says he'll do something, he'll do it.
You've probably seen on the thumbnail that there's a picture of a new stadium. Just wanted to say that's not necessarily what it's going to look like, but we can tell you the capacity that they're looking at. 18,500, 1,000 bigger than Brentford and over 7,000 bigger than what we've got at the moment. Do you think that's big enough, Tom?
I think when I initially saw it, I thought it's a little bit underwhelming in the sense that you look at Luton, who are, you know, their Premier League status at this current moment in time, you'd say is under a lot more threat than Bournemouth's. And theirs is 19.5, I think. And they've probably got less scope as well as around that area. So that surprised me a little bit, but I have seen that there's that chance to expand to about 22,000. So I think it will be quite easy to kind of increase it if the demand's there. And equally, I think if we went and got a 30,000 seat stadium and we had loads of empty seats, yeah, I don't like that. So I can see the logic behind it. So yeah, I kind of get that. I was thinking around 20, so 18.5 could rise just over 20. Yeah, that's all right.
So when is this going to happen? Where is it going to happen?
Tomorrow.
And why hasn't it happened already? Look, Bournemouth got Premier League status in 2015, and at that stage, Maxim Demin was our owner, and he did some incredible things for this football club. But it's fair to say there was a financial ceiling that we had under him, and I think his real focus was what was going on the pitch rather than what was off it. What we did though is secured some land about 5 miles away from Dean Court for the building of a new training facility. Right, if you don't know where Bournemouth train at the moment, just turn up to Dean Court and take a look behind you. And there you can see the training ground. That's right, we've got a large-ish facility that is next to the stadium. There's a little training pavilion as well. But what we're looking to do is emulate the likes of Brighton, Southampton with their big training academy as well. And the land we purchased at Camford Magna has got a bigger footprint than the one for Southampton. So that's good, isn't it? We want to get the best possible status there is for our academies, etc. And look, that wouldn't have been able to happen next to Dean Court. So we purchased land far away, and whilst we did that ages ago, nothing really happened. Some groundwork was done, but since the new ownership has come in, they have accelerated the growth of that. And you can see from the drone footage that AFC Bournemouth have released that they're building up and building up quickly. And the news is that our training facility is due to be finished by October 2024. So in under a year, the team will be moving in, mate, which is absolutely huge, isn't it?
Lovely little birthday present for myself, mate. Looking forward to that. And I never really expected that. I think even in my time, like I say, I'm only going to be 33 next year. And I can remember just like, you could just go and train next to where the Bournemouth players are training. You used to just be on a park, just kicking it about, chuck a few cones out. So yes, it's a really nice progression, and I'm glad they've kind of speeded that up. And I mean, to get it done nearly in time for next season, just after, is it's really promising. And I think that's really important. You've got to do them sort of stuff. And as you alluded to there, the academy side of things and bringing your players through. I mean, it wasn't too long ago if we got anyone through the door they would just go down the road to Southampton because of the facilities. So really nice that we're doing that side of it as well, mate. So yeah, it's got to be like tickle these things off before you can start going into the stadium and all that.
Well, exactly, because location-wise, the training ground pitches are right next to an athletic stadium, as you can see from this footage, and that's where we want to build the new stadium. And it is going to be a new stadium, not a refurbishment of the current facilities. And the reason he said that was because we need to get the seating right, we need to get the hospitality right, and it's fairly clear to see, mate, when you go into Dean Court at the moment, there's just not enough space for what they need, and they've been trying to increase the hospitality packages recently, and there's still demand for them.
Yeah, exactly. And well, I think we all kind of, whatever you think about it, we all anticipated that with the hospitality side of things. It's mentioned in every sort of time anyone spoke to Bill Foley, to be honest with you. So that's something they're looking at with increased hospitality in restaurants and stuff. But yeah, I like the fact that obviously because it's not going to be at the stadium, it means we don't have to move while the work's going on. We can just continue playing, which you also mentioned. So yeah, nothing, nice to see kind of time spans and things like that when we're going to get stuff done, but nothing too outrageous that I didn't expect. I think people, that hospitality word's always a little bit, something that raises a few eyebrows, but yeah, I anticipated it, mate.
So 18.5, and what there will be is an option to build another stand on top of the stand that will be on the south side of the new facility that could raise it up to around 20 to 22, which would be absolutely superb. So to have it expandable is huge. And look, we might need to get the fans in if we're playing in Europe within 5 years. That's something that Bill Foley has said, and also on Talksport, he said he wants to ideally get a top half finish this season. Now, there are two ways that you can look at how we finish the season, mate. League positions or points. Now, bear in mind that when we finished in 9th, we had 46 points, which really, every subsequent season, 46 points would have landed you in about 11th, 12th, maybe even 13th.
Yeah, maybe even lower.
So what's your ideal end of the season? Is it the points tally you're looking at rather than where we finish in the league?
So we're one of it, because I think points tally, when it's your club, you look at in more detail, but from the outside, it's always league position, and it's just always what you look at. So yeah, neither or really. I think you just want to see progression on the pitch. I think the minimum expectation this season has always got to be we got to finish higher than 18th.
Yeah.
And that still remains the case, even though we've been on a good run. But I think, if we could see that pattern of play be better and what we were promised, which we're starting to see, obviously, then I think with that you will get more points. You will probably come higher in the league table. But it comes down to sometimes the last game or two. You can finish within about 6 places, and it often feels like it doesn't matter. But then when you look at this kind of stuff, it makes it a little bit more. You look back on seasons and go, how many points did we get there? Have we improved that much? So, I mean, it's nice that I think when he was asked the question, kind of best case scenario. So top half, I think probably is if you were asking me that. But at this moment of time, I think if we're still early in the season, so as long as we get 17th or higher, mate, I'll be happy. I'm still a little bit, but do I think we could come 10th? Absolutely.
So will the stadium be built in time for European football? He says this 5-year plan. Well, he said it could be finished possibly by the summer of 2027. He says he doesn't believe that the stadium can get underway, the build itself, until 2025. So he'd be looking at a 2-year build, which is possibly about right, maybe a little bit optimistic. But in this day and age, you can see how fast Everton's doing. And that's going to be a 60,000 stadium, and they are absolutely motoring through it. So training ground pitches being sorted, and then at that stage we're going to be doing the budgeting and looking to sort the finances. And look, these interviews have come out 1 year after his ownership went through the Black Knight Football Club, the owners of AFC Bournemouth. He said it's been a huge learning curve for him. I'm sure he's experienced the highs. He's also experienced the lows, and he's learned a lot. And he says, I love learning. And he said signing players is very different. He's been very wary of FFP. But one thing he did underline was it's great having a club that can get results like at the weekend, because then our name is known far and wide. And look, we were big in Vegas already by the sounds of it. We are even bigger after that win at Old Trafford. He says they sell a lot of gear in their club shop over there. And also they're big in Auckland as well, where he's setting up a brand new side. So, mate, the future is bright. And Bournemouth, little old Bournemouth, are top of this footballing pyramid that Hibernian are going to be part of as well by the time.
Yeah, it looks like Hibernian will be joining them. And then he also said that he's looking at someone in Belgium as well. So you'd have Hibernian, a club in Belgium, Lorient, obviously already there in France. I'd say a top flight French team, then currently in the relegation places, but you like to think they'll be all right. So really exciting, mate, in that sense. And the fact that we're at the top of that pyramid, obviously, I think it'll be interesting to know what it's kind of like in the other clubs. But when I was listening to it on Talksport, they were saying that they were getting messages. Jim White was saying they're getting messages coming in from Hibernian fans really excited. There was an Everton fan said, "I wish he was running our club." Yeah, he does come across well. He does always come across well, which I always like. We always used to say it. Sorry to bring it up, but about Eddie, that it's lovely when you have someone that is a figurehead at your football club, that when they come out and speak, they're really well respected. I always felt with Jeff as well, to be fair. Maxim obviously didn't really do it. Jeff Mostyn always come out well, and we experienced the other end of that. As much of the good stuff he did, Eddie Mitchell didn't always do well on radio. So it's nice that I always feel like when Bill Foley's coming out and you hearing about an interview, you know he'll say the right things.
Yeah.
And he's quite brave. I think I think it was Simon Jordan said there's a composed confidence, and that was a good way of describing it. I think he come across quite level-headed, and he says, we know it's David and Goliath, we know we can't just go in there and compete with all the top teams. He said, but then he talks very positively, very, there's progression and where we can get to. So he knows we're punched above our weight a little bit, but he always references kind of your Brightons and says, that can be done. So I like that it's not kind of crazy football manager, like we're just going to be a massive, but it's also not underwhelming either. I like the balance.
He also has a lot of composure and has had when it comes to Andoni Iraola, and saying that he hasn't been worried. Look, us as fans have been crapping ourselves, but it's fair to say that things have come good on the pitch for us. And off the pitch, it's starting to look that way as well. And I alluded to it on a recent second look. I said, look, after seeing Richard Jackson's tweet that says all of the stuff that we've been complaining about in terms of hospitality and pricey seats, no one seems to be worrying about that anymore now that we're all going in the same direction on the pitch as we are off it as well. So I think when you hear plans like that, it's easier to stomach when you know, yes, there are going to be bumps along the road that are going to not keep everyone happy, but we're getting to a destination that's going to please all, we hope, because that's what we need. Increased hospitality, increased restaurant facilities, and above all, increased seats. It won't add that many seats. I mean, I'm thinking with the hospitality, maybe an extra 4,000 odd.
Yeah.
However, when I'm seeing against Aston Villa, a top team, there were still tickets available in our current facility now. But you know what? Hopefully, all this positivity means we can retain some of our players. And he mentioned a couple of, one player in particular that might be leaving the club, but they're doing everything that they're going to do to try to tempt him to stay.
It's, to me, what I got from it was that he's probably going to go, but they're going to try and keep him on. Probably.
Who are we talking about?
Lloyd Kelly. I after hearing it, I think you never know. Obviously, he referenced that they'd done it with Philip Billing and Dom Solanke most of the time down and stuff. But Lloyd seems like, just the way he worded it, that we're doing everything we can. We feel that Lloyd's the man. We want to keep at the club for the future. But you can't. He did say you can't always. You don't know what the player's thinking. He might have different thoughts. But we're talking with his agent. So it remains to be seen. At the moment, I feel like it may be a tough one to do. But I like that we're clearly working on it, and we've been quite open about the fact that we're trying to get it done.
But he won't be replaced until the summer was one of the key quotes.
Yeah, which doesn't surprise me at all. In terms of it wouldn't shock me if he were to go in January, just say for argument's sake. We might get a stopgap in, like we did with Vina at the time, like kind of a loan player to the end of the season, or someone a little bit short term. But I think what he means is to replace someone like Lloyd Kelly. So you're talking about a starting centre-back. You obviously can play left-back as well. You're not going to do that in January, because top players like that, unless they're going out of contract like Lloyd, they're not going to be available. So I get that. I think you would probably have to go centre-half-wise anyway, with Senesi and Zabani, with Meps obviously still available. We have got the option of potentially having James Hill there if we need to. So that doesn't surprise me at all. Hopefully we get a sign, mate. We'll see what happens. I personally wouldn't be shocked if we have a Lerma situation. Yeah. Because I just feel like, for what we want to achieve, this day I just can't see. I know people are saying, I know how good he is, why would someone pay 20 million quid when you get one for free? So I'm looking at more 10 to 15, and I just wonder if the club will go, you know what, we
Just cash in.
just kind of leave it.
Or
And do like we did with Lerma and
do the same, yeah.
and try and get the best out of it. I don't know. We'll see. But that wouldn't shock me. But the promising thing was they briefly mentioned about Dominic Solanke. Chris said to him, a few clubs be sniffing. He just went, doors closed.
Yeah.
No conversation will be had on that.
And bolted shut.
Yes, and that doesn't surprise me at all. We don't need.
So stay away, West Ham.
Yeah, we don't need. They can come if they want. I think Chris Temple said it on a previous Cherries Unpicked show that apparently even the one in the summer, when they tried to inquire West Ham, we didn't even really answer the call. It was just like no chance. He's a main player for us. So yeah, all promising, mate. Like I say, Lloyd, you never know. You hear this sort of stuff. You see the way the team are performing recently. He might have a little. You know what? I could be a key player in this. Yeah. Do I need to go? But you don't equally, like we all say, you don't know if he's. We know there's been murmurings about abroad, for example, Milan and that. Him and his family might be going, you know what, I fancy a relocation, and it might not be anything that much to do with the footballing side. So whatever happens, wish Lloyd all the best. But if he wants to sign that new deal, I wish him a little bit better.
Superb. So that was Bill Foley on Talksport and BBC Sounds. And also there's an article in The Guardian that you might want to check out as well. But we've summarised it, and hopefully to some Premier League fans that might be watching, that gives you a bit of a backstory. We'll keep you updated with what goes on. I think I'm probably due a visit to the training ground at some point soon. Not been there in a while. It's good to see what's going on.
Yeah.
But for now, thank you for watching. Luton Town this weekend. Myself and Tom are getting together for a preview tomorrow. And are you missing the away day shows, yeah? Next week, we'll have a double header for you.
Oh, lovely.
Up the chairs.
Up the chairs. God, we're massive. Playing little old Luton at the weekend.